Well, are you contemplating making a move into Norfolk, Virginia, or possibly any other city in Hampton Roads? If so, with our current economy situation as it is, and the inflation levels the highest we haven't seen in the last 30 years, I imagine you're a little concerned about what it's actually going to cost to live in Norfolk, Virginia. Well, if so, in this video, I'm going to give you all the costs associated with living in Norfolk, Virginia that I feel are important to you. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, and I'm also going to go over some additional costs that I think you need to consider when making the move into Norfolk, Virginia. So with that, let's get into the video. Hello, my name is DJ Parker of the Life in Hampton Roads team. As I mentioned earlier, this video is all about the cost associated with living in Norfolk, Virginia. That's the type of content we publish every week on this channel, as our channel is all about life in Hampton Roads. So if that's the content you're looking for, please make sure you hit the subscribe button below. Also, don't forget to tap that notification bell. That way you're notified anytime we drop new content about life in Hampton Roads. Additionally, we love having interaction with you, so please hit that like button below and also leave any questions or comments in the comment bar below as well. Over the years, my team and I have helped many families moving in and out of Hampton Roads, and we thoroughly enjoy doing it. If you're thinking about making the move in and out of Hampton Roads, Virginia, we'd absolutely love to hear from you. So please reach out to us via phone, text, email. Whatever your preferred method is, we are definitely available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and we can't wait to hear from you. So as I mentioned, this video is all about Norfolk, Virginia. So let's go ahead and let me get you into the background, a little bit of Norfolk, Virginia, with some of the national averages compared to other cities in Hampton Roads. Okay, so I wanted to give you some basic information about Norfolk, Virginia. I'm getting this information from a website called bestplaces.net. I will leave a link in the comments below so you can review the website yourself, as there's a lot more information on that website than I can actually go through in this video. Overall population for Norfolk, Virginia is 247,000. When you compare that to some of the other cities in Hampton Roads, to give you an idea, Chesapeake has 242,000. The growth in Norfolk, Virginia since 2020 is right at 1.5%. The unemployment rate in Norfolk, Virginia is 7.3%, which is pretty much on par with some of the other cities in Hampton Roads. The median income in Norfolk, Virginia is actually a little lower than the other cities in Hampton Roads, as it's right at 44,000, a little more than 44,000. Also, bestplaces.net creates a livable index when comparing other cities to each other throughout the country. This index is based on the national average, with 100 being the national average. So anything over 100, it's a little more expensive. Less than 100, it's less expensive. Good news about Norfolk, Virginia is it's quite less expensive to live in Norfolk, Virginia than some of the other cities in Hampton Roads. The livable index for Norfolk, Virginia is 91.8. When you compare that to Virginia Beach, which is 105.7, or Chesapeake, which is 106.4, it's actually much cheaper than living in those cities. Additionally, when you compare that index to the overall state of Virginia, which is a 103.7. So those are some just basic information on Norfolk, Virginia. Now let's get into the actual cost associated with the city. All right, our first cost associated with living in Norfolk, Virginia is a pretty important one, especially if you have a family. That would be the cost of groceries and overall eating out. According to bestplaces.net, Norfolk, Virginia is actually below the national average with a 97.8. Additionally, when you compare that to Virginia, Virginia has a 99.6. As far as groceries go, Norfolk, Virginia has a pretty wide variety of different retailers. They have the big box stores of Walmart and Target. Additionally, for grocery stores, they have Food Lion, Harris Teeter, Kroger, Aldi, Lidl. If you're in the military, they have the Norfolk Commissary. And also for the club stores, they do have a Sam's Club and also a Costco. As far as restaurants goes, Norfolk has a lot of great restaurants to choose from, not only national chains, but also local restaurants, especially in the downtown area and the Ghent area. So overall, groceries compared to other cities in Hampton Roads is pretty much on par, as most of the cities in Hampton Roads are right around 100 or a little below. So let's move on to the next cost of utilities. All right, for utilities in Norfolk, Virginia, again, I'm using bestplaces.net. It gets an overall index of a 96.7. When you're looking at the cost of utilities, obviously the first thing you think about would be power, and that provider is Dominion Virginia Power, which is actually the provider for all the power throughout Hampton Roads. As far as your gas, that would be Virginia Natural Gas. Not every house needs gas, as our winters are pretty mild in Virginia, but some houses have gas for heating or cooking as well, and also heating the water. As far as water goes, you're going to pay the city of Norfolk, Virginia for your water service. One thing I will comment on, they mentioned on their website that there is no minimum water charge. So whatever water you don't use, you don't pay for, whereas some of the other cities actually have a minimum charge for water. I will leave a comment below to a neat website that shows a breakdown of the utility cost for Norfolk, Virginia. Moving on from water, then you have stormwater and wastewater fees. Those are handled by the Hampton Roads Sanitation Department, and that is pretty much, again, for all cities in the south side of Hampton Roads. HRSD handles both stormwater and wastewater fees. Trash collection is another thing you're going to have to pay for. In the city, it's actually $26.64 a month. As far as for internet and cable service providers, Norfolk has Xfinity, Verizon. For satellite providers, it has DirecTV and Dish. So those are the major costs associated with utilities in Norfolk, Virginia. And then we're going to move on to another cost of living in Norfolk, Virginia in this video as well. All right, the next cost I'm going to bring up is one of the most important costs when picking a city to live in, and that would be the overall taxes of that city. The state of Virginia has a state tax of 6%. The income tax in Virginia is income based, so it's anywhere between 2% all the way up to 5.75%. The overall meal tax, so when you eat out at a restaurant in Norfolk, Virginia, is a little higher than some of the other cities, as it's 6.5%. Now, as we've talked about in some of the costs, Norfolk, the cost for living in Norfolk, it tends to be a little lower than other cities in Hampton Roads. However, I will tell you, when you're looking at their property tax or their personal property tax for your cars, theirs is a lot higher than other cities in Hampton Roads. For the car tax, it's $4.33 per 100. Compared to some of the other cities in Hampton Roads, those tend to be right around $4 per 100. As far as the overall property tax, it's $1.25 per $100 of assessed value. When you look at Virginia Beach is 99 cents, and Chesapeake is just a little over $1 at $1.04. So again, personal property tax and property tax in Norfolk, Virginia tend to be a little higher than some of the other cities in the Hampton Roads. As far as gas tax, it's the same across the state of Virginia, and that is 26.2 cents per gallon of gas. Okay, let's move on to some more cost. Okay, before we get into some of the additional cost associated with living in Norfolk, Virginia, I wanted to remind you, please make sure you comment below if you have any questions or you think I might have missed some of the cost associated with living in Norfolk, Virginia. Additionally, we would love to get this video out to as many people as possible, so make sure you hit that like button below if you're enjoying the content here. Also, if you are enjoying this content, don't forget to hit the subscribe button below and tap that notification bell. Lastly, if you're thinking about moving in and out of Hampton Roads, as I mentioned earlier, we would love to hear from you. So please reach out to us via phone, text, email. We're available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and we can't wait to hear from you. So let's move on to our next cost associated with Norfolk, Virginia, and that would be the overall transportation cost. Okay, so when it comes to overall transportation cost for Norfolk, Virginia, the good news is it's typically a little bit cheaper than other cities in Hampton Roads. Using bestplaces.net again, they give it an overall score of 82.7, which is much cheaper than other cities in Hampton Roads and across the country. Additionally, more good news, in addition to a bus service, Norfolk also has a ferry service that connects it to Norfolk and Portsmouth, and also a light rail system called the Wave that connects it throughout the city. Additionally, there is plans in the future to connect the Wave into Virginia Beach. Like other cities in Hampton Roads, though, there are tolls associated with traveling through the city. There are two main tunnels in Norfolk, Virginia that connect Norfolk to Portsmouth, Virginia. That would be the Downtown Tunnel and the Midtown Tunnel. One thing I'll let you know about these tunnels is similar to other tolls in the city, you need to get an easy pass. To give you an idea, the prices change based on what time of the day you're going through each of these tunnels. But if you have an easy pass during peak times of the morning and in the evening during rush hour traffic, it's $2.50 each way. If you don't have an easy pass, it's actually more than double at $5.81. So again, you have to get an easy pass. Overall, as far as gas prices go, as of this recording, we're currently right around $4.59 to $4.69 for a gallon of regular gas. That's pretty much the same across all cities in Hampton Roads. And traditionally, Hampton Roads does tend to be a little less than the national average. Okay, next cost we're going to go through is very important if you have a family, as that would be the cost of daycare and schooling. All right, for daycare, you're really going to have to do your homework here. It varies based on provider, but on average, I've heard as low as $150 a week, depending on the age of the student, all the way up to $300 to $400 a week. So again, those prices can vary widely depending where you're going and what the age of your kid is. As far as public schools are free in Norfolk, Virginia, of course, but there is some options for private schools. One of the more well-known options in Norfolk would be Norfolk Academy. That school gets great scores according to some of the other websites like Best Places, also bestschools.org. But one thing I'll tell you about that school is it's pretty pricey. Depending on the age of student, minimum is around $20,000 tuition per year, all the way up to close to $26,000 per year. So if private school is an option, you're going to have to look at price, and there is other options besides Norfolk Academy. All right, our next cost is actually one of the most expensive costs associated with living in Norfolk, Virginia, or any city for that matter, and that would be the cost of housing. For housing, I do have some good news, as the cost of housing in Norfolk, Virginia is considerably less than other cities in Hampton Roads. Using bestplaces.net again, the overall livability index for housing is at 80.4. So that's significantly less than the national average, and as I mentioned earlier, less than other cities in Hampton Roads. If you're looking to rent a house, according to that website, the average cost of a one-bedroom home is $975. The average cost of a three-bedroom rental is right a little bit over $1,600. Both are less than other cities in Hampton Roads. If you're looking to buy a house, I'm going to use some information from our local MLS, which is the Real Estate Information Network. In June, the average median price was $295,000. When you're looking at that as a price per square foot, the average is $185 per square foot. As with other cities in Hampton Roads and across the country, inventory is still pretty constrained for houses. In the city of Norfolk in the month of June, there was 363 houses sold. When you look at that from a month supply standpoint, it's about 1.6 houses for months of supply. What that means, if there was no additional listings currently as of today, within 1.5 months, essentially, we would run out of houses for sale in Norfolk, Virginia. Good news about that is there are a few more houses when you look at it from a month standpoint versus other cities in Hampton Roads, as Chesapeake currently is about 1.1 months of supply. So as with any city in Hampton Roads, and honestly any city in America right now, there still is some supply issues with both buying houses and renting houses as well. These last few costs I'm going to get into are just some optional costs I think you should look into when living in Norfolk, Virginia. Lastly, I just wanted to go over some additional costs that are optional costs with living in Norfolk, Virginia. The first is a cost that I've mentioned in many of my other videos for other cities in Hampton Roads. That would be the cost of pest control. As our climate tends to be a little milder, there are a lot of insects you might have to deal with in Norfolk, Virginia and other cities in Hampton Roads. Additionally, you could have some rodents. So again, it's optional, but some people do like to use pest control services. Another thing about living in Norfolk, Virginia is Norfolk is below sea level. As I mentioned in a prior video, flooding is an issue that occurs throughout the city of Norfolk, Virginia. So if you're looking to buy a house, you're going to want to see if you need flood insurance and if that's required for the house you're buying. Also, HOA, Homeowners Association, and condos are pretty common throughout Hampton Roads. So if you're looking to purchase, you need to see if there's an HOA, or if you're purchasing a condo, what the fees are. It varies depending on what the amenities each offers. So that's something you got to look into. Additionally, if you like working out, Norfolk has some great rec centers. Right now, a membership for Norfolk Rec Center is $50 a month. $50 a year per adult. So that's very reasonable. And when you look at that compared to like a YMCA, currently their membership costs are $93 a month. So rec center is a very cheap option. And they're actually pretty good facilities in Norfolk, Virginia. Also, while Norfolk isn't an urban area, so hunting is not an option in Norfolk, Virginia, there is some great opportunities for fishing if you like being outdoors. Norfolk is against the Chesapeake Bay, also has the Elizabeth River and other tributaries running through it. So if you enjoy fishing, there is some good opportunities there for fishing. Okay, so I think that pretty much sums up my overall cost associated with living in Norfolk, Virginia. I'm sure I missed a few, so if you think I missed any or you have any questions, please write that in the comments below, as we'd love to hear from you. Also, as I mentioned earlier, if you liked what you saw here, make sure you hit that like button, also hit that subscribe button, and tap that notification bell. Until the next time, I'll see you on the next video. Have a great day.